We're passionate about making amazing urban bags, so we don't compromise on things that make a poor quality product. What we refuse to compromise on is how we deliver our bags to our users. Because getting the bags to our users on time and securely is what completes our definition of a truly amazing quality product. From selling at bazaars to setting up retail pushcarts at malls, today Izzaldin shares his story about starting ClubMod. I'm Patrick Lim and I'm a first-time entrepreneur. I founded a company manufacturing and designing urban city bags here in Malaysia. And because I was new to business, I had tons of questions and challenges that needed answers. I started talking with veteran entrepreneurs and they would tell me these great origin stories of theirs. On this show, we talk to entrepreneurs about how they brought their crazy ideas to life. We get to hear their stories of venture and challenges on how they started from zero to hero. Morning, Izzaldin.
Morning, Patrick.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
So,
Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about ClubMod, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you used to do before you came up with the idea of this business.
I have a background in IT. I studied in MMU. And then my first job was with a market research firm. It's a boutique market research firm, a small market research firm. So, it was very different from what I studied.
What do you study?
IT.
Interior design?
No, IT, information technology.
IT, okay.
IT,
alright.
IT.
Okay.
It's a bit off this morning.
Oh yes. First it was stenosis. Right.
So, my first job was with a market research firm. They were based in Singapore. And I had a good exposure there in terms of consumer psychology because they were mostly doing consumer market research. So they were dealing with firms like McDonald's, IKEA, banks, Huang DBS in Singapore, Cadbury, Media Prima with a media group of companies. So I was given a good exposure there in terms of how little things can affect the consumer's mind. And it's not just a case of a simple, I see what I like and I buy. There are a whole lot of different psychology behind why you buy, when you buy it, how you buy it.
You share something,
all of this.
something that you can remember out of that?
Okay, in terms of branding, for example. Cadbury was trying to break into, what do you call it? Ferrero Rocher's premium gifting chocolates.
Right.
So they were having all sorts of trouble in trying how to get into that market and trying to take a piece of the pie. People always see Cadbury as sort of the snacking kind of chocolate.
Yeah.
Not the premium kind of thing. So it seems all sorts of things were affecting how consumer perceives Cadbury. Little things that all adds up to the big things. For example, the packaging of Cadbury and where they sell Cadbury, the price points. Even little things like how you space your fonts and things like that. Somehow, somewhere plays a role in how the consumer perceives you. The smell, how you open the packaging even.
Even down to the color of the purple.
Yeah, the color of the purple color and things like that. So yeah, in the end, it makes me realize that a whole lot of other things that affects the consumer mind. Was also exposed to quantitative research. So that was also an eye opener, because I think, I'm not sure outside of Malaysia, but within Malaysia itself, I think we don't give a lot of emphasis on statistics and tracking your data and getting the information out. Unlike the Americans, where they are very particular about all this. So I worked there for about 4 months, and then I moved on to a social media firm. That was also an eye opener, because they were an Australian company, and they were going to move to Silicon Valley. At that time, Facebook was still growing, and they were concentrating on mobile, which right now is taking off. And there I was exposed to different working culture. Was very open. I had access to the CEO. I talked to the CEO talked to me and find out what.
So a very flat level.
It's a very flat level organization. And I saw how they work, because it's a small company. I saw how they try and build up the service from like only tens of thousands to millions of users around the world, and still keeping the company very small. I think they only had about 20 to 30 guys that were working with them at one point, and handling like millions of users. So they gave me another exposure where you can really grow big without you can really scale without really what do you call it? What's the word? Can be a big company without really having all these resources that you think a big company should have. Yes, you don't need size.
You don't need size to actually do big things.
Yes, to do big things. Yes.
So how old were you when this was happening?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I'm kind of a late bloomer, so I only started working when I was 25.
Right.
I was wandering around before that, here and there, trying to find my place in the world. I started, then I graduated when I was 24, and then found a job when I was 25. So, and I started working with the company is called MiG-33.
Are they still around?
They're still around, and they're growing bigger as well. So I still keep in touch with the CEO as well. He's a nice dude. Helps me out sometimes. So what else? They're still around. So I worked with them for about 3 years. And then I decided I wanted to start something on my own. Because my family background is that they're all middle class. My dad was studying, my parents studied overseas. My uncle studied overseas. They come back and they work for governments or local companies. But none of them really started, have gone on to really start something.
Right.
Despite all their high qualifications, their high ranking careers right now.
But do you already have a knack to start something from the beginning? I mean, you seem, at a very young age, you seem to be paying a lot of attention to all these details of how organizations operate. And when I was your age, when I was much younger,
How old are you, Patrick?
Yeah, when I was 25, I was paying attention to all these sort of things. But before that, all these things are just nothing. Something that you expect the managers to take care of, and you just take care of the day to day. So would you already, in your mind, were you already getting yourself prepared to start something on your own?
Not consciously, I guess, but I'm not too sure where it came from. I guess maybe from playing Lego when I was young or something.
That damn Legos.
But
no, they're ruining our kids' life by opening up
getting more expensive
a fair in JB.
Yeah. I'm not too sure where it came from, but I guess I was always fascinated with how all this works.
Right.
How big companies somewhere manages to organize all these things, and yeah, well, it was fascinating to me to see, especially the social media company that I work with, how they build up the business, how they slowly go from one end to another end to another end, and growing the business. So it appealed to me. I'm not too sure where it came from.
So out of the blues, you woke up one morning and it goes, I need to start something. Is that right?
No, not really. I was doing something part-time as well.
Ah, okay.
Because my girlfriend at that time, and now my wife, she was also doing some business on the side. She was selling some stuff, and she was getting some supplies. I come from a middle class background, so I don't really know.
So she started first?
Yes, she started first.
So she was an influence?
Sort of, yes, because
she was the bad apple. Don't tell your wife that.
She's going to see it anyways.
Oh, poop.
Okay. So, coming from a middle class background, I don't really know how to start a business, despite the fact that I guess most of us who goes to university dreams of actually starting a business, but actually starting it is another issue. Taking that first step is a big step. You have to know it's
cultural. I mean, even down to the Chinese, right? Every one of us, we were born reminded literally that we are supposed to be rich, we wish for riches and stuff like that. But no one actually talked about how do you get rich, how do you start your own business. None of that. I suppose we were born in the wrong circle. That's what I always feel, because I was born in a circle that there were no entrepreneurs as well.
I thought it would have been easier on your side of the divide.
Why do you think so?
Because of your cultural background compared to the Malays. Because we are very risk averse. The Malays, we like safe things, even though we might say a different thing. And there's a whole lot of other psychological things that, when you think about it, it's kind of ridiculous.
You'll be surprised we're not that different after all.
Because
in different contexts, yes, maybe.
Compared to you, I mean, the Chinese have always been entrepreneurial. I mean,
no, we're quite safe as well. We are quite safe as well. We are all being taught to study and to race for grades. But when you race for grades and when you're being sent to tuition literally the whole day, right? You end up becoming, an empty jarhead, right? So jarheads, what do? You're not entrepreneurial. You don't know how to apply the skills, and you can't apply the skills. You can't be entrepreneurs. So the only entrepreneurs I see are people who come from entrepreneurial background. So dad runs a business, or close circles runs a business or something like that, and they sort of got bitten by it. Otherwise, right? No way. It's tough. So it's much the same as you. So we're not that different after all. We are the same. Yeah, one Malaysia. So yes, come back to your story.
Where was I? What was I talking about?
The wife was into...
Oh yeah.
How did she start it?
She started because, I guess basically our backgrounds are from two different backgrounds. Her family, despite the fact that they don't have a lot of educational background, some of them work on their own. They have catering businesses. Her mom also was doing some nasi lemak business before, selling nasi lemak. She somehow got to know about where to get all these supplies from. And then she opened a store at this night bazaar in Cheras. And I gave her some startup cash to open the business. I think it was about like 2000 or something. I was working with the social media company back then. So I gave her some startup cash, and then I joined her as well during the weekends to go to all these bazaars around town, like Biju Bazaar. At that time, it was a trend going on with all these trendy bazaars.
Bazaars, yeah.
Somehow died down a little bit. I know.
Oh no, it's very strong still.
The only ones that are still active are markets and urban skips, but the ones that sort of pioneered the thing.
Oh, the earlier ones.
Yeah, the earlier ones, like Biju Bazaar, Trezu at that time. sort of slowed down. So yeah, with business, it's not only about starting. It's also about your persistence in pursuing the goal all the way to the end, which is not easy. People always think that doing your own business is like, oh, you just sit at home and you goyang kaki and do nothing and you just ask people to do this and this and this. It's not. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's not true at all. That myth has got to be the worst myth ever. Because it's really hard. It's 24 hours. You cannot get the business out of your mind. You sleep with your business. You wake up with your business. You always think of ways to get cash. And and there are lots of other things you're juggling, especially if you are starting small. But it's a good experience. There's no other experience like doing it, which I think we should inculcate in the young. Try again. Make mistakes. Learn from it. It's a very good master.
So yes. So how do you come across ClubMod and let's talk about ClubMod.
Yeah.
What is ClubMod?
Yeah. I would like to say was one. I suddenly came across this one big idea where I see a lot of people buying bags or stuff, but it's sort of a gradual thing,
right?
I think as with most big company, with most companies, anyways, I think they just started out with one small idea and they sort of build up on that. I think even with Facebook, I don't think they have that intention where they wanted to conquer the world. It was just a sort of like probably Mark wanted to connect people and do some cool things.
I think he wanted to he wanted to take revenge on the girls that didn't want to go out with him. That's about it. And also he wanted to get laid. I hope he doesn't watch this show. He might ban my account and I'm screwed.
I think he's got bigger things to this IPO going down.
Oh yeah.
So my wife at that time, my girlfriend at that time was selling bags. She liked all these funky type of bags, and then sort of gradually grew from there. And then we tried a different. We tried at first we tried those safe bags where it looks like your normal typical bags that girls bring out, and then we bring in funky designs.
How do you find all the suppliers?
It started in KL first,
right?
Because then we were small, and then we moved on to first it started with wholesale with local suppliers here, and then we moved on to getting supplies from overseas.
Was there a reason why you wanted to do that?
Because in the end, we were not happy with what we were selling. It was always that we catered to the market instead of the other way around. What we wanted to do, what we liked, and we thought of would be good if we can do what we like and then meet the market somewhere in the middle.
Right.
And then
it builds an identity to the brand.
Yeah, it builds an identity to the brand instead of just all these cookie cutter companies. Keep in mind at that time I have no background in business. I don't have an MBA. I don't have nothing. So it's sort of like a step-by-step kind of thing, and mistake by mistake by mistake by mistake. Some were quite painful. I actually have scars to show. This is actually a scar from setting up a bazaar.
Really?
So it's literally blood, sweat, and tears. So I got this car when I was setting up my bazaar at Eagle,
right?
The street market. I joined it, and then I was rushing to set it up, and then I wasn't careful, and the railing sort of dropped on me, and I guess I was having some bad karma previously. Oh. And it just sliced right near my eye, which is very dangerous. I mean,
yeah, you could have.
Yes. Come to think about it.
So it was not a bullet that, you know.
No.
It's not a bullet, right?
So but then blood squirted out, and
caused quite a scene.
Yes.
Hysterical. All right, so so you started from bazaars first.
Yes, started really small. Night bazaars, and then I moved on to set up my first pushcart.
But was bazaars lucrative?
It was, because At one time it was at the night bazaar because rental was low, and at that time it was sort of like a novelty. This was way back in 2007, I think, and I think economy was also doing alright at that time.
And back then they were like the bazaar at Mount Kiara, and the Curve had one every weekend, right?
Yes.
So these are the places that you normally go to, lah.
Yep. The permanent one was the one in Cheras, so they open every night.
Oh, where is this?
What do you call it? It's near Jasco.
Oh. Cheras Maluri.
Yes. Yeah. It's around there. That's right beside the velodrome, the Cheras velodrome. So there's a parking space there. So every night there'll be a night bazaar there.
I didn't know that. So on a weekly basis, how many bazaars will you go to?
On a weekly basis, I think the the permanent one, as I mentioned, was the night bazaar. So we had to open every night. But I wasn't involved in the day to day. I just
no, you were helping your wife.
I was helping my wife, so she set it up. It was after she graduated, she opened that space. So I gave her some cash to start up, and she managed the business.
Is she still doing it now?
No. There's a
She's minding the kids.
Whole other story behind that.
Okay. So so when was it that you decided, okay, I think enough of this, and I'm gonna join her to do this full time?
Well,
was it a difficult decision, or was it just like doing this for so long?
It was difficult.
It was difficult.
It was difficult. It's not easy taking that first step. In anything you do, it's not always that easy, especially if you are coming from my background, where nobody was actually starting their own business.
Being in the corporate space?
Yeah, being in the corporate space, you sort of see your life, study, work, and die off. So it wasn't easy, but at the very least, I had the support of my parents. They were supportive, even though. Sorry about that. My phone's ringing.
Oh, okay.
It's alright. They were supportive at least, so that somehow made the decision slightly easier.
On the get-go, they were supportive. They didn't like faint first.
No.
Then.
Because I mentioned that my parents did not come from a business background, any business background, but they did try to set up businesses. My dad was in the oil and gas business. He tried it, but was not successful, and then went back on. My uncle as well, a couple of my aunties as well tried to set up businesses, but never got far. My uncle wanted to start a business, but didn't go past the one thing to start a business. But curiously, one of my relatives, anyways, he does not have a high educational background. He only has SPM, I think, and some certificates. But he's actually in his own right a successful businessman. He has a laundry business. He has an advertising business, furniture business. So it sort of makes you question, what does it really take for you to succeed? Is it really brain power, educational background, persistence? So I'm wondering, what was the question again?
Right. So it was easy for you to just move on after that. But do you already have an idea of what you want to do when you moved on?
There was sort of what do you call it? A lot of things were playing on my mind at that time. I just got married at that time. I wasn't really happy where I was at that time. I mean, I was still happy discovering how the social media company was working, but where I was at that time, and a few other things, I wasn't really satisfied.
Missing pieces.
Yeah. So it was quite hard. I mean, I thought about it, I think about 6 months before I thought, just do it. at that I was relatively young at that time. I didn't have any big loans to pay off. I haven't bought any houses. I still use a beat up car. And I didn't take any loans to pay off my marriage ceremonies and all that. So I thought, F it. let's start now. What's the worst that can happen? A lot of worst things that can happen actually.
A lot of worst things that can happen. So when you started out at the time, do you have like financially, do you have something to work with?
Yes, I saved up. Because I didn't have any priorities at that time.
How many months of runway do you had back then when you first started up?
I think I could survive about 1 year without any income.
So let's talk about the challenges of year one. What was the with the money in hand and the idea that you? Oh, sorry, we didn't really touch on why bags.
It was not really particularly that we wanted to start with bags. It was sort of along the way. And then we discovered that there's a whole lot of things that you can actually do with bags. I mean, you can print on it, you can make different designs with it, bags, backpacks, wallets, purses, sort of like personal items that you store and you bring around. Laptop bags, you can personalize it if you want, like tote bags, you can personalize it, then you can make different designs with it. So there are a whole lot of bunch of other things, and we were thinking you can do corporate gifting with it as well, and you can do it's sort of a functional item that you can make it fun and nice. And me and my wife have always been interested in the arts. We like music, movies, artsy-fartsy stuffs. So that's how it came about. I'm sure we'll talk about the future direction of the business later on, so I'll leave that for later.
So in terms of the challenges, what were the challenges that you could remember from year one?
Actually, year one was pretty good.
Oh.
Year one was pretty good, surprisingly. Profits were coming in nicely and we were growing nicely.
And you were still focusing on bazaars back on year one?
Yes, we were focusing on starting up and growth. We were joining bazaars, we were opening one kiosk after another and approaching shopping malls. It was quite a good time, and we were traveling, seeing other suppliers and agents overseas. It was a good time actually, the first year. Profits were coming in nicely, and the margins was good. The rent was also good. It was not that high to start with, and year one was good. I was discovering how to manage my own business and proper inventory management. No background in retail whatsoever, so it was tough in that sense. But profits was coming in, so at that time I was quite happy actually.
So it's when profit comes in, everything there was no challenges, right? But the moment profits are not coming, oh shit, this sucks. That problem comes in. So is it still like that now? How many years have you been this? What, 3?
Yeah, it's coming to 3 years. I think it's already about 3 years. Full time, of course, because before that I was doing it part time. And then, sort of after the second year, it hit the brakes a little bit. I mean, slowly. Coming from my background of research and also data mining from the social media company, I know it's important for you to keep track of your data, what went wrong, how it went wrong. But the thing is, the business slowly, the profits were slowly dying off and slowly going down, not dying off, it was slowly going down. And I could not pinpoint any one thing where it sort of went wrong.
I hate it when it happens.
Yes, I hate it when that happens, because you don't really know, and you don't know why it happens.
That frustrates you.
Yes.
You can't sleep.
Yes.
So do you manage to find out why?
I think it was a combination of factors as well. Because at that time, we were catering to the market. Because basically what people want are cheap stuffs, and I sold some really horrible stuffs. But they sold. So what was I to do? Like keep giving them what they wanted. But in the end, I was thinking it's not where I want to go. It's not where I want to be. It's not making me happy in a sense. Even though I like the sense of freedom that you get in trying to manage your own business. But long term, I was thinking it's not where I want to be. So I began to read a lot about these entrepreneurs, how they build their business, how they market their stuffs, and how they do it. And from there, I slowly learn a few things. That's not necessarily that you have to cater to the market. You can also build your own market for your own self.
So what was what were the books, or who were the authors that really influenced your thinking like that?
Authors? No particular ones. The one thing that I really appreciated what my parents did for me was really inculcating a love of reading back when I was young. And I love to read. I did a lot of stuff. So there's no particular one. I read about marketing from Seth Godin.
Right.
Have you heard of him?
Oh yes.
Then I read management books, Good to Great, from Jim, what is his name? Jim Brooks or something.
Jim Collins. Jim Collins, yeah.
Good to Great. Then I read about Jack Welch, the GE guy.
Oh yes.
Godfather
of sales.
Tony Fernandez, how he started out.
That I've not read.
No, not the book.
Just you researched it?
Yeah, I researched about him, how he started. Because basically, I think out of all Malaysian companies, I think
Asia is one of the successful ones. Yeah.
I think this one is probably the most successful Malaysian businessman that started from the ground up, from the zero, and right to where he is right now. So that is sort of inspiring. And then I asked around, read a lot of stuff, how they build the business, and that's how I got to know that there are a whole lot of other things behind it that you need to properly do to build up a proper business.
So coming back, you managed to pinpoint the problems?
I think it was a whole bits and pieces of it that sort of contributed. I wasn't managing my staff properly because I was trying to grow the business, and these little things sort of being overlooked. I was not managing.
Everything was becoming a rush.
Yes.
Rather than
properly sitting down and having a proper plan on how to do things and how to manage things. It was sort of trying to grow as fast as you can. Because at that time I was influenced by you grow big and you grow big fast.
Yeah.
But I think that only applies to if you have millions in the bank, not when only you have
venture capitals will back you up.
Yeah. Because I was also influenced by when I was working with the social media, the last company. So but when you are starting small, growing too fast can also be a problem, because in the end it can also contribute to your downfall. Because you don't know where you're headed, you're just growing for the sake of growing rather than having a proper plan.
The operating expense will start to catch up.
Yeah. So I sat down and not really sat down. Played on my mind, and I was thinking, and slowly trying to go to where I want to go. So where I am right now, it's still not to where ClubMod is right now. I'm not there yet. It's still a trial and error basis. I'm still reading up on how to do things, how to market things better. But it's a journey. I hope I'll be there. I hope I'll get there.
So from bazaars, you evolved to Pushcarts.
Yep.
What's the business of Pushcarts like? Is it as good as bazaars?
It's a different model, because with bazaars if you join bazaars, the profits are good because basically you're just there for over the weekend or 2 or 3 days, and then you get the profits on your own, and then you join another bazaar. But with Pushcarts, it's sort of a different thing because you have your monthly expenses, your monthly overheads to catch up with, and then it's also you also need to contend with traffic to get people traffic in. How to attract people to buy stuff from you. With bazaars, basically traffic comes in 2 or 3 days,
and they're ready to buy.
Yeah, they're ready to buy.
Whereas malls are a little different.
Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. Last 2 questions. Given your hindsight today and your experience, right, and if you were to come across yourself 3 years back or 5 years back, before or at the point of starting your business, what would be the top 3 things you would tell yourself? In a twisted world whereby you do see yourself.
I would have told myself to stop fooling around.
With girls, or
I know.
No, you were married, so
No,
so it's something else.
yeah, I mean, stop fooling around, stop wasting your time. There are lots of opportunities to grab. Because it's not something that's
Fooling around in the sense of what? What was too much back then?
I guess I was working for someone else, so I did not really explore other things.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of like the normal, what do you call it? Rat race.
Yeah, career path.
Yeah.
The normal rat race career path.
So you go to university and then you go to have a job, get married, have kids, kaput, right? But I wish that people had told me, or someone more who has more wisdom than I did at that time, told me that there's a big world out there, lots of things. It does not necessarily that you have to pursue this way. There's A, B, C, D, E, and F, and lots of different ways where you can do things. So you need to explore all these things in order to find out who you really are. Some people might know what they want to do early in life, but I think for the majority of people, it's a trial and error kind of thing. Some people are more open to new experiences and doing new things, and some people are not. So yeah, I wish back then that somebody would have guided me and just smacked me in the face and tell me that there's a whole different world out there that you need to explore and do, and not be afraid to try it. Yeah, that's what I would have told myself.
Second thing, third thing.
Third thing, second thing, third thing. I guess that would be the second and third thing.
Okay. Last question. Where do you feel ClubMod is right now? Zero or hero?
Not yet a hero, but not exactly a zero as well. I've learned a lot of things along the way. I've made mistakes, some major ones, but I'm still here, still surviving, still fighting.
Would you have told yourself that back then?
The other thing I would have told myself is that to get ready, it's a roller coaster ride. The ups are really, really, really high, and the lows are really, really low. You're going to cry. Actually did, because at one time things were so hard. There were a lot of things that happened. I never remember crying before. But there was too much things going on, and I just had to let go, man. Blood, sweat, and tears. But it's good. It builds you up. It toughens you up. Because I think normally the normal path would be you go ahead and have your career and so on, which I think sort of manja you a bit. I'm not too sure what the word manja is in English.
Pampered
you a bit, yes. Where you don't fight for things. and sort of get into this static mode. Yeah, it helps me to see things in a different light, and to not give up, and not to worry too much about things. Just do whatever you can, and tomorrow is going to come, whatever it is. So yeah, I hope ClubMod will be big in 3 years time, 3-4 years time. There are a few things I'm planning right now. I hope it takes off. I'm also seeing a few people, seeing whether I can collaborate with them, as well as funding and all those things. So yeah, I hope the future is bright for ClubMod at least.
Okay, before we close, anything you want to plug? Anything you want to throw out there?
Support your local entrepreneurs. They need all the help they can get. Well, to other entrepreneurs, go ahead. Just do it. There's no better than now.
What about for ClubMod? Do you have anything new that's upcoming that people should be aware of?
I'm expanding my product line.
Right. And when is that going to be?
I'm doing it step by step over the next before the end of the year. So to get more stuff in.
What's the best place for them to go to be informed of all these new developments?
They can visit my website at www.thisisclubmod.com, or you can just Google ClubMod, CLUBMOD. Okay. And go visit my store. Give your feedbacks. It's always welcome to hear criticisms and any good stuffs that you might have to say.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Patrick.
Thanks for your time.
It's going to be a different continuity though.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we are suddenly using
continuity. There's no short stay. Let's see what they have to say.
Maybe you can do that old school poof magic kind of thing where suddenly we are wearing different shirts.
Yeah, a lot of them is going to ask, hey, why are your clothes so different already? So anyway, right. So